Is Donald Trump seriously considering dropping out of the U.S. election? It's a question that's starting to gain traction, especially in light of recent developments. The political landscape has shifted significantly with the entry of Kamala Harris as the Democratic candidate, a move that has narrowed what was once a comfortable lead for Trump when he was initially pitted against President Joe Biden. That this changes the idea that Trump might reconsider his run isn't as far-fetched as it might have seemed just a few months ago. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. This speculation has been fueled by opinions from both sides of the political spectrum, including from within Trump's own party. One of the most startling predictions came from Anthony Scaramucci, a former aide to Trump, who has since become a vocal critic. Scaramucci recently suggested that Trump could actually withdraw from the 2024 election, a claim that has certainly caught people's attention. He made this prediction in response to a post by Stephanie LB, a popular YouTuber, where he cast Trump as a potentially weak leader who might not have the resilience many believe he possesses. This comment has sparked widespread discussion, with some wondering if there's more to it than just political commentary. But what's really going on with Trump's campaign? Let's break it down. In the early days of his campaign, Trump was riding high. His chances of winning were as high as 71 on betting platforms like Polymarket, especially when he was campaigning against Joe Biden, who was at a particularly low point in his presidency. However, the dynamics have changed significantly with the entry of Kamala Harris into the race. Harris, who has taken over as the Democratic candidate, has shifted the balance of power. Recently, she pulled ahead on Polymarket with a 52% chance of winning, while Trump's chances dropped to below 45%. This is a significant decline from his earlier position and has raised questions about whether his campaign is losing momentum. So, what's driving these changes? The economy is at the heart of this election, and it's the issue that's causing some voters who initially supported Trump to reconsider. Economic concerns are a top priority for many Americans, and Kamala Harris has managed to gain the trust of a significant portion of the electorate in this area. According to a recent Financial Times Michigan Ross poll, at least 42% of voters now trust Harris to handle economic matters, which has given her a slight edge over Trump despite his reputation as a strong economic leader. However, it's important to note that not all polls are in agreement. The CNBC All-America Economic Survey, for instance, still shows Trump maintaining a strong lead when it comes to economic issues. This mixed picture makes it difficult to predict how the economy will ultimately influence voters' decisions. Now let's take a closer look at the polls. Despite the challenges Trump is facing, recent polls indicate that he still has a slight lead in key battleground states like Pennsylvania, Nevada, and North Carolina. These states are crucial to securing a victory, and understanding what's keeping Trump ahead in these areas is essential. If the economy continues to be the decisive issue and voters in these states continue to trust Trump more than Harris on economic matters, the final outcome of the election could lean in his favor. Currently, Trump's campaign is heavily focused on his claims of tackling inflation, an issue that resonates with many voters who are feeling the pinch of rising prices. But the big question is, will Trump really drop out? While Scaramucci's prediction has caused a stir, it's important to remember that Trump is known for his unpredictability. His entire political career has been marked by unexpected moves and statements that keep both his supporters and opponents guessing. Whether Scaramucci's comments reflect a real possibility or are simply an attempt to sow doubt remains to be seen. What is clear, however, is that the 2024 election is shaping up to be one of the most closely contested races in recent history, with the economy playing a central role in the debate. Now, shifting gears slightly, let's talk about something that might not be immediately obvious to voters, but could have long-lasting consequences: the future of the First Amendment if Trump wins. The First Amendment, which protects freedoms such as speech, press, and assembly, has been a cornerstone of American democracy. However, its future could be in jeopardy if Trump gets the chance to appoint more justices to the Supreme Court. To understand why this is so significant, we need to take a brief look at the history of free speech in the United States. For much of American history, free speech was not as protected as it is today. Dissidents were often imprisoned for their views, and laws like the Comstock Act allowed the government to censor anything deemed indecent or immoral. This kind of suppression wasn't limited to unpopular political ideas. It also extended to anything that touched on topics like sex, art, or literature. For example, the Comstock Act's namesake, Anthony Comstock, famously brought charges against a gallery owner for selling a reproduction of Alexandra Cabanel's The Birth of Venus, masterpiece of nude painting that is now displayed in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. As it wasn't until the 1960s that the Supreme Court began to meaningfully enforce the First Amendment, handing down landmark decisions that protected political speech and guaranteed freedom of the press. These decisions created the framework for the robust free speech protections that Americans enjoy today. But here's the catch. These protections could easily be rolled back if the Supreme Court's composition changes. Currently, the Supreme Court has a 6-3 majority favor of preserving the post-1960s understanding of the First Amendment. However, there are 3 justices who have shown a willingness to drastically shrink these protections: Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, and Samuel Alito. Thomas and Gorsuch have openly called for overturning New York Times v. Sullivan in 1964, a decision that is crucial for press freedom in the United States. Trump, too, has indicated his support for overturning this decision, particularly in a 2022 court filing. The danger is that if Trump wins the 2024 election and has the opportunity to appoint more justices to the court, the current 6-3 majority could shift, potentially leading to the rollback of free speech protections that have been in place for nearly 6 decades. Justices like Sonia Sotomayor and John Roberts, who are part of the pro-free speech majority, are not getting any younger, and any changes in the court's makeup could have significant implications for the future of the First Amendment. We've already seen signs of this potential shift in cases like NetChoice v. Paxton and Moody v. NetChoice, which challenged Texas and Florida laws that sought to control content moderation on social media platforms. These laws were framed as protecting free speech, but in reality, they were about forcing platforms to give equal space to all viewpoints, including those that might be harmful or offensive. This approach turns the traditional understanding of the First Amendment on its head. Instead of protecting individuals from government censorship, these laws would allow the government to dictate what private companies can and cannot do, which could have chilling effects on free speech. For example, the Texas law forbade social media platforms from removing or downgrading content based on the viewpoint expressed, which would make it nearly impossible for platforms to moderate harmful or extremist content effectively. Imagine a scenario where YouTube couldn't remove videos promoting hate speech unless it also removed videos condemning hate speech. This kind of regulation would not only disrupt the business models of social media companies, but could also lead to the proliferation of harmful content, making these platforms unsafe for users. These laws are just a glimpse of what could happen if the Supreme Court were to adopt a more restrictive view of the First Amendment. The balance of power in the court is critical, and with the Federalist Society, a powerful conservative legal group, playing a significant role in selecting judicial appointments, the possibility of a shift towards more government control over speech is very real. In conclusion, as we approach the 2024 election, it's not just about who will win the presidency, but also about what that victory could mean for the future of fundamental rights in the United States. The stakes are incredibly high, and the outcome of this election could shape the direction of the country for generations to come. Whether it's Trump's potential withdrawal from the race, the shifting dynamics of the election, or the future of the First Amendment, there's a lot on the line. So as always, stay informed, stay engaged, and make sure your voice is heard in this critical moment in American history.